Thank you for that, Amber. Welcome back to TF Custom Shaving Brushes Workshop. My name's Tony. How are we all? Hope we're all well this fine Saturday morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, Queensland, Brisbane, Australia. So we've got a nice interesting blank in here. That's the one that we cast a couple of streams ago, I think it was. The fluoro lime green with the timber burl. And it's got another piece of timber in it, which I think is off the same burl or off a similar burl. I think, but I'm not 100% sure. So we're going to be turning this one this morning, and we're going to be putting a 30mm tuxedo knot in this one. It'll probably have to have a CA finish on it as well because of the wood inside it. So to get a nice finish on that, we'll probably end up putting CA finish on the whole handle. But we don't know what we're going to get yet because it's got a couple of pieces of wood in there, and like I said, the rest it's taken up with fluoro green. But the shape of the handle, how it's turned, when it's turned, and how it's hollowed and stuff, will impact on how the timber's going to look inside the handle. So we don't know what we're going to really get with it until we really start turning the shape in there. But it should make a nice handle, that's for sure. So yeah. So that's what we're going to be doing this morning. I've already tightened up the chuck, made sure it's nice and tight. That's the tuxedo knot that's going to be going in it. So a nice big knot, nice and soft though. And I think we'll get started, I don't know who else is in the stream. I see we've got 3 concurrent viewers there, so I'm not sure who else is in there. I think Brett must have slept in this morning, unless he's in there and not talking to us. But anyway, let's see how we go, eh? Okay. So the shape of this one is going to be very, very similar to that other one that I've done with a rotten piece of wood and the cast with the resin in it as well, the gold resin. So it's going to be a similar shape to that. It'll probably end up being a little bit different. It won't be quite as square on the bottom, it'll be more rounded, and it'll probably be more hollow in at this narrow point here as well. So that's going to be the shape of this one, hopefully. But I just thought I'd bring this one out just for comparison regarding size of the handle, the sizes of the different sections, so that we can get a better idea when we relay it onto this one. Obviously this blank, you know, we've got a little bit of spare on the bottom, probably 15-20 mil, but we'll see how we go with it anyway. So the main thing, I guess, is getting that size sort of up here near enough right, which the majority of the time I find that normally works at around about the 25 mil mark. Sometimes it needs to be a little bit less, and occasionally you'll go a little bit longer with that size. And then obviously the rest of the handle, typically most of my handles finish up being round about the 68 to 70 mil long. I can do them to whatever size somebody wants, so if they want slightly longer we can go longer normally, and if they want it shorter we can go shorter. But I normally find 68 to 70 mil is a nice overall length for most people for holding a handle in the hand. Anyway, okay. So the stream might be a little bit quiet this morning, but we'll see how we go. So I'm going to get myself organised and set up, and we'll start turning, eh? Probably put the hole in first, I think, and I'll have a look and see if I've got a 30mm Forstner bit. Because that'll make it easier for that knot, I think, if we've got a 30mm one. We probably won't have, I think 28, and I think it jumps up to 30, it jumps up to 32. So we'll probably end up having to go with the 28, and we'll have to just machine it out with the skew to get it to suit that knot. So if I just take an overall measurement of that knot, and yeah, 30mm, so we'll need 30, 31 probably. But we'll see, we can do test fits and we can make sure that we've got it where we need it to be. So, let's get started, eh? Okay, so straight in with the 28mm. Turn the lathe slowly. I'll bring that in a touch till it just touches with the point. That gets the center, and then we can start to go in. Now, I don't know if we'll get this handle finished today, because there's going to be a fair few extra things to do, like extra sanding, CA finish. I may have to do something inside the socket if the knot's going to look too ugly, because we will probably see the bottom of the knot in the handle at some point, or some spots. So I'll need to make sure that it looks right. If it doesn't, then I might need to do something in the socket with mix up some resin with pigment in it, and maybe paint the socket out inside before we set the knot. So we'll see how we go with it. We should get the bulk of it done today, but there might be little bits and pieces that we don't get done today. I might have to carry over into another stream. So we'll see how we go with that. Now, what I'll do is I'll set this back on my 10mm again now. That'll probably be 10mm there, which it is. We'll bring this back in and set it till it just touches the end of the blank. We'll stop it there. And I want the loft on this to be quite high, so what I'll do is I'll go in about 15, I think, to start with, and then we can try. So that'll be about 25. So that's 15 plus the 10. And we'll try it at that, and we'll see how we go. Now I can see in there that we are going to see part of that knot already. So we'll stop it and have a look. Yeah, so see, we can see a little bit. If I go to camera 3 for you, you can see we've got a little bit of the, we've gone through the timber, and all you can see is green resin there. That might add a nice effect to the handle. That might not be too bad, but round here we can see a lot more. Now again, it might not be too bad. It's one of those ones we're going to have to just try the knot in there, see how it looks, and if it looks okay, great. If it doesn't, and it stands out too much, then we might have to change that. But at this point, it doesn't look too bad. So what I'm going to do now is take that fastener bit out, and I'll open that hole up. So we'll bring the tool rest round now and drop it down. Nice. So you're enjoying it, Amber? Yeah, it's amazing what some of the different razors. It's amazing how good some can be, and how bad some others can be. It's a bit of a hit and miss. You've got to try different ones until you find the ones that work for you, and you're happy with. But yeah, leaf razor, yeah. Good morning, Brett. How are you, buddy? All good, I hope. Now, we've got a 28mm hole there, and we want to open that up to at least 30. So I need to take off at least a mil, which will be 2mm overall. So very carefully and just nice and slowly we can sneak up on it. Puts us on the bottom. Now we'll just hit that sharp edge to get rid of the sharpness. Take that out the way. Check for our knot. A little bit too tight, so we'll open that up a bit more again. You can see I've got my band on this knot because when I took it out of the box yesterday, it's gone a little bit square on us like the other ones did, but they do come round again, so it's all good there. So we'll bring this back in again. And we'll try again with another little bit, just till we get a nice bit in there. And we've resharpened that, so we'll just hit that with the sandpaper again. Take the sharpness off it. Still needs to go more. Can't be good for you, Brett. Can't be good for you, mate. Too many hours on the road. Ah, lovely. Lovely, lovely. So that gives me a loft. It's probably closer to 58 than it is 57. But I'm thinking that's going to be okay. Yeah, that'll be good. So that's us where we need to be with that. So now we can start doing a little bit of shaping. I'll keep the tool rest there. We'll bring that up a little bit. We might even turn it round and then take the tool rest back in closer. Okay, so let's get started, eh? Right, so I'm going to take that down around about there. we're going to make that around there. I won't put too much sideward pressure on that because I don't have the tailstock in, which maybe I should bring it in. A little bit of added security. Lock it there. There we go. Yeah, but that's a long time to be sitting around, mate. It's a lot. Even then, I mean, you're still, you know, you should still be classed as working. Yep, this is a customer's brush, this one. I'm just curious to see how the timber, how the timber starts to look once we start turning it, you know, and getting it near a shape. It's going to be quite interesting because it's going to have a bit of a different look in it, the way the timber was set in the mould. I think it's going to look quite nice actually. I just want to check the picture, which was pretty rough, but it might be good enough just for me to see. Pretty much straight down on the top section. So So let's see how that's shaping up. We'll try the knot in there. Yeah, that's actually going to look okay. So I don't think I'm going to have to do too much inside the socket for the knot. I think that's going to be okay. So yeah, I think that'll be good actually. And I like this through here, where you've got timber. You've obviously got timber which is on the inside edge, which is going to be darker. But once the fluoro resin's polished up, you'll be able to probably see the face of the timber more. Timber on the bottom there. We've got a little bit there where it's lighter, where it's just resin and no timber. And then obviously this side we've got timber either side, but we've got this fluoro green area here, which is going to be lighter because of the base of the knot, and then darker on the top edge. It's going to look quite nice. We may see more of that. We may still have to do something there. We may see more of that once we start to polish up the resin as well. It may clear up and we might be able to see more. So again, we won't really know until we get nearer the end. But so far that's looking quite good. I'm quite happy with the outcome of that. And now it'll depend on how the rest of the handle comes up in here when we start to hollow, because we might lose some of this part here depending on how shaped. And this one is quite shaped. So but we'll soon find out, won't we? But I like to plan along the way. I don't like to just keep going and doing something without keeping checking, So hopefully we're all good. Okay, I'll just get another little bit on that. And I'm thinking I want a little bit more on that. Thinking I'll leave it there now. I think that's probably enough. At this stage anyway, you can always come back to it. Okay, now I think we'll set up and start doing a little bit of hollowing out of the main part of the handle. So we'll lift this up higher. And we'll start with the carbide. we've still got a fair bit of timber in there, so even if we go in a bit sharper, which I really think we need to do on the shape of this handle, but even if we go in there sharper, I don't think we're going to actually cut through that and only have resin, because the timber still goes in quite deep into the resin. So I think that'll allow us to hollow that a fair bit more. So I'm just going to take the ring down the size a little bit though, so we get the a little bit more of an idea on the proportions. And I will have a look at the picture again just for the shape on the bottom. Yeah, fairly bulbous and rounded on the bottom, but fairly hollow in here, and that comes quite sharp out. So we're on track, we're on track. Okay, so what we'll do is I'll pull this back out now, lift it higher. I like to get that carbide lower on the blank and higher on the tool rest, so it's not as aggressive. Right, now I think what we'll do is we'll define our bottom now. So we'll just go in with the parting tool, probably a little bit high yet. Okay, so we'll go in there. And I think I'll just give this a little touch up on the grinder. Should do it. See the difference straight away, eh? Cuts with less pressure being applied to the tool, which is better. And you can hear the difference. The tool's actually cutting better now than it was before. Mind you, the burl's probably fairly hard too, so a lot of the time it doesn't take much to take the edge completely off the tool. So I'm just removing some of the excess waste just to give me more room on the bottom. that'll do that for now. So we'll bring this out again, we'll bring it up. And then we can start doing a little bit of shaping on the bottom here. So you can see in the top down shot now that the handle's actually starting to take its shape. Now I'm just going to put a centre mark on that so that I can get that round fairly even on the base of the handle there, because we're going to be rounding that bottom section off quite but keeping it fairly round. So the centre mark is the centre of my round basically. And it will need to be reduced in size because at the moment the whole thing's probably a little bit too wide. Right, let's have a look at that. See what we've got. So it still needs to be refined a little bit more. It's probably still a bit too squatty and thick on the bottom, so we'll probably reduce that down a fair bit now. And then we may have to just lighten this down a little bit, reduce the ring a little bit more if need be. But I think we've captured the shape basically. And that's actually looking quite nice with that big 30mm tuxedo. So I'm really looking forward to getting this shined up, because that's when we'll start to see some of the natural edge of the timber inside as well, which should be quite nice. But yeah, we just need to lighten this up a little bit more on the bottom and reduce everything down in size just a little bit more. Okay. So, yeah, we'll reduce it all down a little bit. We'll just keep working away with the shape. So we might go in and just tidy up the top end first. Put the tailstock in now, live centre. It's probably too high. That'll do that. Right. So we'll start taking a little bit more out in here. Reducing that down in size a bit, because it's just a little bit too large in diameter in the bottom. So we're just going to sweeten everything back in. Now we're just going to sweeten that little hump in there. reducing that diameter down. A little bit at a time, so we don't go too far. So you can see now it's starting to proportionally take shape. Yeah, that's so painful, Brett, isn't it? You can't get matching splashes to suit your soaps here because they won't ship. It's just bloody terrible. I'm the same. I like to have the matching splashes with the soaps, the matching soap, but I gave up on it really because a lot of it you just can't get, you know, which is a bugger. Anyway, I'll keep soldiering on. Right, now, just got to round all this off again now. So we get a nice, even, sort of bulbousy shape on the bottom. Which we're nearly there, I think. And I'm thinking that's going to do us. Just try and get rid of some of those little marks in there, tooling marks. Just to clean it up a little bit in here. and that's going to do it. So we'll take a look at that with the lathe stopped and the knot sitting in place, just to make sure that we are looking nice. Timber's tooled up lovely. Yeah, that's looking quite effective actually. Might have a tiny little air bubble there, so I might try and get, oh, might not be an air bubble, it might be, oh no, it looks like a little bubble, so we'll try and get that out. But other than that, the rest of it looks pretty damn good. So, we'll bring the tailstock in for security again. Excuse me. I'm going to lock that in there. And I'm just going to hit in this edge here. And in there. So round about there. See if that's got it. Nearly, tiny little bit, and we'll be there. That's still there, tiny little bit more. Almost. Bring that back, so that's too close. Down, that in a touch. That's it. Now we'll just sweeten that up again. And we'll just put a couple of cleaning cuts with the carbide just in here. And the rest will get with sandpaper. Get rid of all these shavings. What a mess. Okay, that'll do that for now. Take that out for now. Right. So yeah, they'll all sand up with the sandpaper. It's looking quite nice actually. I'm quite pleased with that. Okay, a little bit of sanding. Running too fast, so slow that down. Yeah, mate, it's shaping up quite nicely actually. Yeah. It's amazing how you can come up with just different shapes, a couple of different materials chucked into a mould, and it's amazing how many variations you can make that they all look different, you know what I mean? Rather than buying something from a company that you pay, you know, 2 or 3 times the price for a handle, or a brush I should say, and each one is the same as the last one, you know what I mean? Like, they're all made out of the same material, looking exactly the same. I guess that's where the custom comes into it, where, you know, no two are the same, you know? So a big difference to buying from some of the larger suppliers that seem to have the monopoly just for mass producing brushes that all look the same. To me, you can't beat this. I'd have a custom any day of the week as opposed to one of the bigger known brands, just purely and simply for that reason alone. Who wants to be the same as the Joneses, eh? It's going to look stunning when it's polished, that's for sure. It'll change the look of it again. It's just Really shaping up nicely, this one. Okay, next grid. Stop teasing. Okay, let's do this one. So I think it's only the three of us. I think it's Amber, Brett, and me in the stream. I don't think we've got any other viewers in today. Yeah. The shape's quite pleasing too, isn't it? It's a fairly simplistic shape, but it's quite pleasing on the eye, the shape, and I think it'll be fairly comfortable in the hand too. I think just the shape, sort of the narrower waistband with the fatter but more rounded bottom on it. It'll just be I think it'll be fairly comfortable in the hand. oh yes, most definitely. Take the specs off, I think. Building up a sweat now. I've got my towel up here, but I've laid everything on it, so now, sneak peek. Sneak peek. See what I got. I 3D printed this up earlier last week. So it's 3D printed, and it's probably too narrow. I probably need to make it slightly bigger, but this was a file I got off the internet, and I put it through one of my 3D printers and printed this, and this is going to be a mold, and we're going to pour different colours in each of these compartments, and then we're going to put it in the pressure pot, let it set, and then we're going to put it in the lathe, turn all this external plastic off, and we should end up with a handle with the different colours in these shapes with the black dividers in between. And then I'm going to turn that into a handle, and we're going to trial that and see if it makes a nice looking segmented shaving brush. But 3D in resin and 3D printed mould. So there you go. That'll be a future stream. Let me just turn something off here. I thought I'd already done it, but maybe not. No, I hadn't. So we'll just turn this off so it doesn't interfere with anything. Close. Close. So yeah, something else to try. Whether it will work or not is another thing, but we never know these things unless we try them, eh? So the mould is actually a file that I got off the net, but it was actually a file that was created for making pens, segmented resin pens. But what I've done was I just took the file and I've enlarged the file to make it big enough to get a handle blank out of. It's still slightly on the narrower side. Length is okay, but it's a bit narrow. So what I'll do is I'll open it up in my software. I'll increase the size of it, put it onto my one of my bigger 3D printers, and then I'll print another one, but I'll try this one first because this will be an experimental one to see if it works. If the concept works, which it should, then I can go the full size one and we can try and make one of them. Yep, just always got to be thinking outside the box, you know, as they say. It may have been done before, I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know if, I mean, I know it's been done in pens, but I don't know if it's been done in a shaving brush handle. Could have been. Yeah, very well actually. It'll bond really well from what I've read. I did do a pen one many years ago, and it bonded together quite well, but the issue that I had with that was back in the days when I was still casting with polyester resin. And polyester resin, when it's in a mold and it cures, it actually shrinks and pulls away from the walls of the mold. So that's what happened in that one. But now that I'm using epoxy resin, the epoxy resin doesn't shrink on curing. It stays where it is, and it just cures, and it does have a good bonding as well. So from what I've read, it should work, and it should have plenty strength. So yeah, it'll just be a case of trying it, Brett, and seeing how it goes. I mean, if it can survive being turned on the lathe with all the different tools to a finished product, then I've got no doubt that it will be able to hold up against juice. So yeah, something for us to try. Yeah, but like I said, epoxy, the epoxy resin doesn't shrink, so that's the good thing about using the epoxy. It doesn't pull away from the molds. It's good and it's bad, because even in my my round plumbing tubing that I use for casting, I used to be able to cast in them about half a dozen times before I'd have to throw them away, even using a release agent in them. But with the epoxy now, I can only cast once, and then I've got to cut the tube off them because you can't get them to come out. I mean, I could probably use a release agent, but I think they'd still hang up, and I don't think you'd be able to reuse too often. So yeah, so something to try, something to play with. You gotta keep doing these things just to, you know, stay ahead of the game and try and find new things and different things that are not commonplace out there. So how long have we been going? We've been going an hour and 20, so we've still got a bit of time yet. I won't go too much over 2 hours. So we'll see how far we can get with this. We may have to continue on with this one on Tuesday, Brett, which will mean that we'll have to put your blue handle a little bit delayed. We may be able to start it if we get this one finished in, say, Tuesday stream, if I don't get it finished beforehand, but it won't be finished today, this one, unfortunately, because there's just too much to do it with the CA and double sanding and all that sort of thing. So we probably won't see this finished today, but we'll get it as close to so that we can get a good idea as to how it's going to start looking. I think it's going to look pretty spectacular, this one. It is sort of shaping up to look quite nice. But we'll see how we go. Right, just do the top section now. Never brought any fluids out with me this morning. Could do with a drink, actually. Okay, next grit. Yeah, I know, she's inside probably doing the housework while I'm out here, mate. That's a chance to get caught up in housework when I'm out here, out the way. Yeah. I do have a set of UHF handheld radios. I could use them, I suppose, aye. I don't think she'd be impressed with that though, somehow. Actually, I do have an intercom on the telephone. I could get her on the intercom on the telephone, but she probably wouldn't know how to use it, what button to press when she picked it up. Right, now let's get the rest of that bit there done. You can see everything starting to show it's a bit more colour now in the timber and stuff. Because we're getting down finer in the grit now, it's actually starting to take a lot of the whiteness away of the previous sanding. I might get a fresh piece of the 600, I think. Although this end's cutting better. Make sure we've got no harsh lines in there anywhere, sanding lines. It's looking not too bad. Right, we'll get into the top section. Then we'll hit it with some wets so we can see how it's going to look. And then it will need to be all dried. Then have a CA finish applied. Oh, there's buffering happening. Hopefully it doesn't go for too long. The cache on the audio video is still okay. Data rate that we're putting out is well and truly okay. It says your encoder is sending data faster than real time. Well, how do you prevent it doing that? I mean, it's, you know, that's a YouTube issue. Accept the data when you get it. You're complaining that you're not getting data, and then you're complaining you're getting too much data. Let's see if it sorts itself, because it's still showing the error, but it done this once or twice the other day as well, and it come good. I get worried when I see the cache going up on my monitor, because that tells me there's a major, but the cache is not moving, so hopefully. And the other thing I noticed is, even though we have these issues, YouTube still takes the video and still puts it up. It takes them a while to render the videos normally, but once it's rendered and it goes live on my channel, it captures everything and it plays everything. So it's really weird. There, it's gone now. The error has gone. Really weird. I'm hoping yous are all good in there. It's all looking good my end. No errors again, so seems to have sorted itself. Yeah, all good. Right, let's get a little bit of wet sandpaper into this, eh? The soft touch pads. Then we'll see how it's going to look. These ones are finished now, so we'll need fresh bits after that. Get a little bit of my water, my rag. The wet pads. Slow the lathe down, and let's get stuck in. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Oh, lovely. Look at that. Look at that. Woohoo! Isn't that nice? Set them there, so they're in their order. I'm loving this little area here, right? Where you've got the surface of the wood either side, you've got the inner of the wood either side with a natural edge showing, and you've got this little pocket that's clear inside the handle, and then you've got the wood on the bottom part of it, which is sort of more in the resin, you know. Then you come round this side, you've got wood either side, a bigger area of resin, and then you've got the internal face of the wood down below the where the knot's going to be. So how are we going time-wise? We're nearly an hour and 3/4, so we'll probably go another 15-20 minutes, and then I think we'll have to do the rest another day, Tuesday. If not, I can do a little bit beforehand, so we can reveal it on Tuesday. And we'll see how we go. There's a lot of work in them though, isn't there? Lots of work. It almost looks radioactive, that colour, doesn't it? see it's starting to clear up now. Starting to get a little bit more transparency in the tinted resin. To see the wood inside. Okay, that'll do that one, I think. Next one. And each of the wet pads now is just going to make it more and more clear. Yep. Excuse me. Right, next one. It needs to be sealed in CA anyway, Brett, this particular one. The timber's not stabilised, so it does need to be sealed. But even when I stabilise it, I still normally put a CA finish over anyway. It just helps pop the grain and the colour in the timber, rather than just buffing it up. So as you can see there, if you look at the timber when it's dry, it takes on a different look, but once it's wet, it just enhances the colour. You see more of the grind, more of the detail in the grind, and it just really helps to pop the timber and show the timber at its best, really. If you just buff it, it doesn't quite get the same look. Like I said, even when it's stabilised, you'll get a little bit more of a sheen on it when you buff it up, sand it and buff it. But it's still, like I said, it's still not the same finish that you can get when you put a CA coating over the top. This was just a couple of pieces of wood that I had lying around that I shaped a little bit and put into the mould in the way that I wanted it in, and then it was cast under pressure. So that's fine to do that because the resin gets pressurized into the timber, so it gets a good bond, a really good bond, but you just want to prevent any water intake by the wood. But as you'll see, because it's burls, they tend to be a lot denser, so they don't absorb wood like what a normal piece of timber would. They're a lot denser. So, I mean, even this will dry in no time because the water won't have penetrated too far into the wood. It hasn't had the opportunity to, so. And I'm not using a lot of water, it's just enough to wet the surface for the abrasive to work properly. Yeah, it's pretty spectacular, isn't it? See, that's the cap of the burl there, where you get those little spiky bits. That's the cap of the burl. The cap of the burl, the timber on this one is obviously in the inside, but that was a different section. It's not like a cap piece like that. G'day T-Man, how are you buddy? Welcome back to TF Custom Shaving Brushes, mate. Just in time before we shut down the stream, mate. I'll be shutting down in 7-10 minutes or so. We'll finish this one another day, Tuesday probably, or if not before. And I'll be able to reveal it on Tuesday if I get it finished beforehand. I've got a few things on my plate at the moment, so I'm a little bit pushed for time. But we will get there. So we'll get on to the next one. Oh, it can be replicated to a certain extent, mate. You'll never get it exactly the same. You never do. I mean, that's the That's the thing about custom handmade brushes. I mean, you get it, you know, you can use similar bits of wood and you can set it up similar, but once you turn it, and depending on the shape of the handle and everything, I mean, you could end up with something that's a little bit different, but probably still fairly close, you know. That's the thing with custom stuff. It's, I mean, certain things you can repeat, but other things are just, they are really one-offs, you know. You never get them the same. And that's the point I was making before, when you see all these mass-produced brushes by some of the more popular manufacturers, and the handles are made from rod stock, which is, you know, extruded in a machine or whatever. So every one looks exactly the same. The pattern might vary depending on where they cut it from the rod stock, but the pattern's basically the same. So every brush looks very, very close, you know. Whereas custom stuff is more one-off. Yeah, you can get something to look similar, but it still won't be the same. You'll never get them exactly the same. Exactly, T-Man, exactly. Like I said, you could do something similar, and you know, it'll look very close to it, but the timber will be different. It might be a different timber colour. Obviously, the grain might be different. How it's going to lay and fit in the mould might be slightly different. You know, but you can still achieve a very, very similar effect, but there'll just be differences between one to the other. But if somebody was asking me to describe my work, I would say they're all one-off handmade pieces. See how that's getting more transparent in there now? You can actually see me going backwards and forwards with the pad in there. You can see my finger, you can see the pad. It still retains colour, but it's more transparent now through the tint. And we're actually starting to see the colour in the wood in the inside of the resin now as well, which is giving it an even nicer effect again. And through here and through here. You can see the natural edges through here and through here. But artisans that do these types of brushes, unless they're charging an absolute fortune for them, they're not making any money on them. Because you put so much time and effort into timber selection, timber preparation, obviously there's more work in placement in the mould. Then you've got the extra time to machine and sand, wet sand, then sand again. And when you apply your CA, you've got to sand again, polish again, before you've got a finished product. So, you know, as you can imagine, that we've spent 2 hours on this so far, just turning it and sanding it, and we're still nowhere near finished yet. And then, you know, there would have been extra time in the casting of it itself, and then you've got the cost of the materials, the preparation of the materials before you can cast. And then you've got the knot, you've got to set the knot. So everything has a cost attached to it, and like I said, if you were to try and sell these and charge to cover your hourly rate or whatever you need to capture, you would never sell them, they'd be too expensive. So it's one of those things, you do it because you love doing it and you love seeing and trying different things, but to make money, you'd never make money out of making these types of handles, because there's just too much work in them for the amount of money that you can charge for them. Some people will pay it, some people are happy to pay it, but the majority, no. They'd go and buy a cheaper brush. You know, it's just the way it is. And that's the same with a lot of art, craft, speciality stuff. People just can't get the money for it nowadays. Unless you've got that real niche market. Which is disappointing from an artisan's perspective. And I'm not just talking about shaving brushes here, I'm talking about all sorts of stuff. It can be disheartening as well, because you know you put so much effort into it, and you know you're letting it go for a measly amount compared to what it's cost you to make, and your time and effort that you put in, the love and care that you put into it. But it's just the way it is, mate. I mean, it's one of those things, eh? People that understand it understand the value in it, but people that don't understand it just don't appreciate it, you know. And it's like a lot of things as well. It just takes the right person to come along though. I mean, I could put this on my website, and I could put a ridiculous price on it. If it had a nice knot in it, well, I mean, the tuxedo's a nice synthetic knot, but if it had a really nice high-end knot in it, say like a rhodium or something, you know, you could put a silly price on this. Eventually it'll sell, but it'll take a long, long time. So, you know, you could be making brushes and sitting them on the shelf for a long, long time, like what I've been doing, and not worrying about selling them too much, not pushing it too much. You could sit on it. You could put, you know, what you think you need to gain from the amount of time you put into them and what they are. But it would take you a long, long time to sell them. So, you know, what do? You can't keep putting money into materials and time and effort and machinery and tooling and have no money coming in. So that makes it hard for artisans. Not easy, to be honest. Oh yes, I'm not saying that, mate. What I'm saying is a lot of people just don't understand it, don't appreciate it. and don't want to pay money for it, you know. I mean, I've got a few customers that, you know, I've bought a lot of my brushes over the years and come back and get another one, and, you know, sometimes come back and get another one, and they pay me the prices asked for the brushes, so I got no issues with that at all. But what I'm saying to you is that when you get into speciality stuff like this, you don't make money out of it, is the point I'm making, you know. You just can't, because you'd be left sitting with them all the time. When you think about it, this will probably end up with about, you know, there's what, we're over 2 hours now just on turning and sanding. That's not taking into account the casting and the materials and the material prep, material cost. And we've probably still got, you know, 2 or 3 hours in it to finish it, to be honest. By the time we sand and CA and then sand again and then wet sand and polish again, and then, you know, set a coin in the bottom if we put a coin in it, and, you know, so you've got, you know, probably end up with this one here, we'll probably end up with, what's that, so say 2, say another 2, that'd be 4, say 4.5, say half an hour. You know, there's probably going to be about 6, maybe 6 hours invested in this little handle. Now, if you calculate that back to, you know, what's a reasonable hourly rate these days, 60 bucks, 50, 60 bucks, an hourly rate, cover your costs of your machinery, your electricity, your materials, you know, other things. So it doesn't take long. So a brush like this, if I was to sell this, just the handle alone without the knot, you know, you're talking 300, 360 bucks. I mean, if I was to put that price on this handle, I'd never get it. I'd be lucky if I get half that for this, you know. So just gives you an idea. It just shows you that, you know, and this is for other people that watch the stream too, not just you guys, because I know you guys have bought a fair few brushes from me, but it's just to let other people understand that artisan stuff is made with a lot of care and attention, a lot of love, a lot of time put into it, that probably the price doesn't capture that, you know. That's the point I'm making. So everybody needs to, I mean, even people that come in and watch this stream after the fact, it just helps them understand that it's hard for artisans to make a bit of money, and that's why a lot of them don't last too long, because you just can't make it as a proper living. And that's why a lot of your bigger companies that have got the big names and, you know, the reputations and that out there, that's how they can charge the prices they charge, and yet their effort in making something is a lot less than what an artisan's is. So, you know, I'm just trying to help people understand and let them be able to put it into perspective as to, you know, what the differences are between a mass-produced brush through a larger company and a one-off handmade piece of art, really. Right, on to the next grit. I've been waffling enough now, I suppose. And I guess that's why, you know, people that are into the hobby in a big way, I guess that's why they need to really try and support artisans, because artisans won't be around if they don't get supported, you know. And I'm not just talking for me, I'm talking about Australian soap makers, and, you know, there's a couple of other brush makers, and, you know, they really do need to be supported, because otherwise they won't be there too long, you know. And they can't grow, they can't grow their part if they're not being supported. And the Australian market is much, much smaller than the American market. That's another issue, especially in the traditional wet shaving. So two totally different markets. But in the States, you've got a lot more people doing it too, which you know, complicates it again. So, you know, we're starting to get a few brush makers here in Australia now. I think people think that they can jump in and start making a fair bit of money out of it, but you can't, you know. Oh, there is a little bubble in there down the bottom, but it doesn't look too bad. That's all right. It's below the surface. Gives it a nice effect. Just one little bubble. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, maybe there you can. The light's actually catching it. Just a tiny little bubble, but yeah, it's not too bad. It looks okay. It's all part and part of the parcel. What's in there is in there. Even although it was cast under pressure, and high pressure too, because I had this one up to about, I think at one stage I had it up to about 65, 70 psi. So it was well pressurized. Right, so we've got another 2 grits to go, and then I think we'll call it a day, guys, if that's all right with you. And I'll let you just get back to your weekends and whatever other chores you've got on today, or whatever other plans you've got on for today. But at least you've seen this kind of finish now. I'll sit the knot in it at the end so we can see what it's going to look like with the knot in it, and it sort of kind of polished up without being buffed yet and without having a CA finish over it, because it will dry out and go kind of dull again. But I'll let you see it just in case I do anything else to it before Tuesday. And then I'll be sure to show you the finished result, but at least this way you'll get to see it as it's going to kind of look finished. Thanks, Amber, thanks for dropping in. Thank you for your kind comments. Yep, it's going to look quite nice. You enjoy dinner, and we'll catch you next time, eh? Stay safe. See ya. So, 1 grit left to go, which is the last one, and we'll that'll be it pretty much done until I do the next steps. But like I said, I'll finish this grit, then I'll dry it off a little bit, and then I'll sit the knot on it so we get a better picture of how the whole handle's going to look with its knot in position. We can have a look at the detailing in here once the knot's set in place. I think T-Man must have gone as well. Are you still in there, T-Man? You just drop in for a flying visit, mate? I love this bit through here as well, where the two timbers just don't quite meet. You've got the natural cap end of this piece here, you've got the cap end of that piece there, and you've got green resin running all the way through right to the bottom. It's quite nice. There, you can see it there. Yeah, it just looks good. It's got quite a few good features in it, this piece, as far as how the timbers is in the resin and how it's showing, and the colour and the grind, the natural edges. Oh, he's at the physio, is he? Okay. I didn't realise. I thought he was in, disappeared, the guy. But that's all good. Seems to be having a few dramas with his shoulder after the op. So I hope it all gets sorted for him. It's taking a bit of time, a bit of pain, a bit of suffering. Right, so let me get rid of this. Because we won't be doing much more with that for now, because like I said, we'll end the stream shortly. Just lay my soft touch pads out so they don't stick together. I'll get a piece of paper towel, we'll just give that a quick dry off. We'll sit the knot in it. So it will go a little bit duller again now that we're taking the water off. But obviously, like I said, it's got to be buffed. And everything will get coated in CA. Couple of little scratch come through there, but I'll fix that up. I think, yeah, not as bad as I thought it was. So yeah, so there she is. We'll just sit the knot in it now, just to see how that's going to look in there. We may have to clean up the inner of that socket a little bit more. And this is what I was talking about before. We didn't sort of see that before we started to sand it and clean it up, whereas now we're starting to see the light colour of the base of the plug. So there's a couple of things I can do there. I can blacken it out, the base of the plug, where it can be seen. I can blacken it out, or we can put some more green, more solid tint on the inside to just dull it down a bit. But I guess what I'm looking at here is I'm just looking at the proportions of the brush, and in comparison with that being a massive big 30mm tuxedo, the handle does look pretty good with it, I think. So yeah, so really just a case of taking it through its stages now, which, like I said, might be a case of playing around more in here with the base of the knot, getting a better finish on it, slightly better finish I would like, Then we'll need to CA finish the majority of that whilst it's this way round. And then we'll have to then part it off, turn it round, and then carefully do the bottom, and then CA the bottom as well, finish. Put a medallion in if we think it's going to suit a medallion. I'm actually thinking a medallion might spoil it, so I'm actually toying with the idea of just leaving it with no coin in it at all. And I'll have to clean this up a little bit more in here. But other than that, once it gets the CA on it, and that everything will just pop straight out then. I think that's going to really enhance it even more. But what I will do is I will put a little bit of this liquid abrasive on, which is a micro gloss. So I'm going to use a little bit of that and just see if that has any impact on tidying that up. And then I'm going to close the stream down. I think we're all good there now. I'll get rid of that little subscribe button thingy down the bottom there, and I'll put us on camera 1, and we'll put picture in picture as camera 3, which will be that one, so you'll be able to see me putting the micro gloss liquid abrasive on. We'll put a bit of that on, and we'll see what that does, if it does anything. And then we'll call it a day, I think. Get in here as well, a little bit of that polish. And then nice and slowly we'll just let that polish do its thing, like we do with the, normally with the plastics. It's a really fine polish. Well, it's not actually a polish, it's an abrasive, it's a liquid abrasive, but it will polish because it goes so fine as well, you know. I'm just trying to see if I can get that little scratch out that we've got in there without having to go back to the sandpaper again. Should take it out, but it might just take a few goes to get it. I can actually see it starting to lessen and lessen and lessen, so it's doing its stuff. Just let me get back to the other page. I think that's almost gone. There's a tiny little bit there that I can still see. Oh, it's getting there now. Yeah, I've got heaps of microfiber cloths, mate. But the thing is, you can't introduce a lot of like a lot of the abrasives and polishes and stuff like that. Microfiber cloths are not normally meant to be used in those kind of applications, like applying chemicals and stuff to them. they're meant to be used, they can be used for buffing up and stuff like that, but not so much for using chemicals and polishes and waxes and stuff like that. So yeah, but I do have a heap and a new, actually I just bought a new pack not that long ago, and I haven't used them yet, but I use them for other things. Normally, yeah, I've got to do a little bit more work on that inner section of the handle now. I've got that other part almost right now. There is just still a very, very faint one there. So we'll give it another hit, and then I will call it a day after that, I think, and we'll move on. And I've put more in here, so we'll give that a good rub-a-dub-dub in there as well. So we'll go in there, slow speed, and we'll just keep working it around. Sockets are always hard to get nice and clean because you've actually done hand cutting there to open up the hole as well, and then the fastener bits never give you a perfect clean cut either. So you generally do have a bit additional extra work to do in the sockets when you've got transparent resin in the handles like this. But you can see that starting to shine up a lot now, even just with that micro abrasive, you know. So the finish is getting higher quality each time we rub and work the material in properly. Now we can probably do a little bit of a speed up. Just try that. We'll get a clean cloth now because that one's pretty exhausted. And then we can just give it a little bit of a buff up now. Get all the abrasive cream off. Firm this up a bit so we can get in the bottom there properly. Socket. I think the socket's still going to need a little bit more work, but it's getting there. And I think we may have a little bit, still a little bit in there. There's still a very, very fine little scratch in there. It would probably come out with the buffing, but I'd like to try and see if I can get it out with the cream, to be honest. Probably just a little bit too fine for the size of the little scratch that's in there. But if we keep at it, we'll get it. Either that or I'll pick it up in the buffer when we get to the buffing stage, because there's still a bit of work to go into this yet, as I mentioned earlier. Still there, I think, very slightly, but it's almost gone. That'll do it. So there you go. Let me put that to camera 3 for you there. Isn't it nice? Very different to some of the other stuff that I've done, to be honest. So you can see that wood there. Starting to look inside the wood here. We've got that little window there into where the knot area is, a nice edge here. We've got this natural sort of burl cap bit showing here and down through here. Some nice colour in the wood, nice grind. A few little natural cracks in there that have been taken up by the fluoro green resin. Then we get the inner edge of this piece here, which you can see running up inside the handle to the bottom here, up the edge here, and then we get a little bit more of the surface stuff exposed up there. It's quite nice. Anyway, that'll do us for tonight. Enough waffling. The knot looks quite nice in the handle proportion wise, and I think we're all done and dusted for today, guys. I think there's only you and I left, Brett, so the rest will probably watch it later when they get a chance. So anyway, thanks for dropping in, Brett. Thanks for sticking with it, mate. And anybody else, please subscribe below. Click that little bell and you'll get notified when I go live or when I put any new videos up. And if you've got the time to watch, you can. But a like and a subscribe would be much appreciated to those that haven't. Thank you, Brett. Thanks for your support, buddy. I'll dig out and have a look at my boss knots sometime over the course of the weekend or early next week, and I'll let you know on that one, and we should be able to get that one started for you, and get that one done and get it on its way to you. And if I get some time, I'll try and probably finish this one before Tuesday so we can start your other one on Tuesday. But if not, we'll finish this one off. I might get a little bit done. We can finish it off on Tuesday and then start on your one for the rest of the stream on Tuesday. We'll see how we go with that. But that's it from me for now. So take care. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do. Stay safe. You stay safe on the road, Brett. And we'll look forward to seeing you again on Tuesday for Tuesday night stream, 6 o'clock Queensland, Australia time. Until then, we'll see you then. Cheers for now.